Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Jaiv Narottam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Diri Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, the three modes of material nature, text number 19 onwards. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drishtam pashyati gunebhya sha param veti madbhavam sodigacchati. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these three modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. So, like in previous verses, we have seen how the three modes of nature act, and what are the qualities, or what are the symptoms of a person in three modes. And then, if somebody leaves the body in goodness, he goes to higher planets; leaves the body in passion, he remains on these planets, and remains good. Leaves the body in ignorance, it goes down. It could be down in lower planets or in lower species of life. But then Krishna says, when one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these three modes of nature. The same similar verse was there in chapter 3 when Arjun and Krishna, obviously they are talking. Krishna said, Prakrite kriyamanani gunahe karmani sarvasha ahankar vimulatma kartahamiti manyate. So in actuality, these three modes of nature, they're so powerful. They are the ones who are making people do things. But it's a desire of the soul that that makes these three modes of nature in completely entangle the souls and make it work the way they want to do. One can transcend all the activities of the modes of material nature simply by understanding them properly, by learning from the proper souls. The real spiritual master is Krishna, and he is imparting the spiritual knowledge to Arjuna. Similarly, it is from those who are fully in Krishna consciousness that one has to learn the science of activities in terms of the modes of nature. Otherwise, one's life will be misdirected. By the instruction of a bona fide spiritual master, a living entity can know of his spiritual position, his material body, his senses, how he is entrapped, and how he is under the spell of the material modes of nature. He is helpless, being in the grip of these modes. But when he can see his real position, then he can attain to the transcendental platform, having the scope for spiritual life. Actually, the living entity is not the performer of different activities. He is forced to act because he is situated in a particular type of body conducted by some particular mode of material nature. So, just like if somebody is in the body of a dog, okay, he received that body of dog because of his whatever desires, actions, karmas, whatever he had done. But now, since he is in the body of the dog, he has to act like a dog. He cannot he cannot do anything except work like a dog, act like a dog, think like a dog. So so actually these modes of nature, they're so powerful. Then they take over and they make us do different things. But in the human form, there is still a choice is there, independence is there. There's the modes are there, but we can still act differently because then we have a choice. We can choose. But it's very difficult unless until somebody is on a spiritual platform for one to understand and then to not act according to the modes of nature. That's why Krishna said, Devi hi esha gunamai mam maya dratyaya. This maya, material energy of mine is very, very difficult to overcome. It's my energy. Of course, living entity is also his energy, but the whole system that Krishna has designed, he has created here, it's very difficult to overcome. And like we read, these modes of nature, they're so powerful. Even a person of high intelligence, sometimes he falls. Just like Vishwamitra Muni, I mean, he was doing tapasya for thousands and thousands of years. All he heard was the tinkling of ankle wells of, uh, I think it was Menaka who came there. And all his tapasya, meditation was broken. So although he was for thousands of years, he was in the mode of goodness, but he came into the mode of passion. So it's so powerful. Sobri Rishi, he thought, okay, Vishwamitra Muni, because he was doing his tapasya in the Himalayas, that's why he got entangled. Let me go underwater and do my tapasya. And he was doing in Braj Mandala. Still, he saw two fishes mating and he could not control himself. So we should not think that, oh, these sages, they were neophyte, that's why they fell down, or they were not doing the tapasya properly, that's why they fell down. No, they were doing everything properly, and the sages were not neophyte. It's just these modes are very, very powerful. One has to be really sthit pragya to get beyond these modes. Prabhupada always gives the example of Haridas Thakur, that he was also enticed by this prostitute, and by secondly by the Maya Devi herself. But because he was engaged completely in the service of Krishna and chanting of the holy names, he did not get attracted, which is great. Haridas Thakur is a Namacharya, and by his mercy, we can also achieve that position. But till we achieve that position, Maya will keep on testing us, keep on testing us. And these modes of nature, they are Krishna's energy. Basically, this is Maya. And this Maya, it's not that just like in school when we go, every student gets the same exam. Same math paper, same science paper, same English, same Hindi, same, exactly the same paper. And like couple of days back when the results of 12th standard CBSE board exam results came out, okay, so many students scored 499 out of 500. So they were all over the news, and 498, 497, amazing scores, amazing, amazing. But then the question is, not everybody will do well in every subject. Only a few will do, not rest of the class will do the same thing. And some will not do good in any subject. That's also possible. So Maya Devi, but Maya Devi, when she tests a person, it's not like the same test for everybody. It's a customized test. She will test the person where the person is weakest, because that is where she has to make him more strong to go back home, back to garden. Where he is strong already, no need to test there. He's already strong. But where he is weakest, so somebody's weak point could be opposite sex, somebody's weak point could be power, position, money, distinction, adoration by others. It depends what someone's weak point is. Maya will test one at that for that point only. So all we have to do, we have to be very careful. That's all. And keep on praying, keep on performing our services. And okay, even whether we fail or we don't pass with flying colors that exam, we are given a chance again. It's not like we fail and we are thrown into hell eternally to rot over there and to suffer. There's no such thing. Krishna is very merciful. He'll again give a chance. Us taking birth again and again, this is a chance given by Krishna again and again. And not just taking birth, even in this lifetime, he gives us a chance, keeps on giving us a chance. This is his mercy. So Prabhupada writing, unless one has the help of spiritual authority, he cannot understand in what position he is actually situated. With the association of a bona fide spiritual master, he can see his real position, and by such an understanding, he can become fixed in full Krishna consciousness. A man in Krishna consciousness is not controlled by the spell of the material modes of nature. It has already been stated in the 7th chapter that one who has surrendered to Krishna is relieved from the activities of material nature. For one who is able to see things as they are, the influence of material nature gradually ceases. Yes, Prabhupada, everything what he writes is perfect. One who has surrendered to Krishna is relieved from the activities of material nature. But are we fully surrendered to Krishna? That's a question we have to ask. So as much as we are surrendered, that much protection Krishna will give. So only thing that is required is to surrender more and more and more and more. To keep on making progress, slowly, 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 but surely. Keep on going up and up and up. The test will always be there. At every single moment, the test will be there. And the tests are there to make us more aware of where we are and how to make progress further. Become more determined, more strong, more enthusiastic, and make progress. 1420. Gunanetan atitya trim dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkhe vimukto amritamashnute. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. So, when the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and disease, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. So, all we have to do is transcend. It just sounds so easy. Just transcend. But these three modes are pulling us down. We want to go beyond. Soul is much beyond that. Soul is spiritual. That's why we have to keep on reminding ourselves every day that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. It transcends these three modes. How can one stay in the transcendental position even in this body in full Krishna consciousness is explained in this verse. The Sanskrit word dehi means embodied. Although one is within this material body, by his advancement in spiritual knowledge, he can be free from the influence of the modes of nature. So, by his advancement in spiritual knowledge, he can be free. He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life even in this body because after leaving this body, he's certainly going to the spiritual sky. But even in this body, he can enjoy spiritual happiness. In other words, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is a sign of liberation from material entanglement. And this will be explained in the 18th chapter. When one is freed from the influence of the modes of material nature, he enters into devotional service. In other words, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is a sign of liberation from material entanglement. And this will be explained in the 18th chapter. So, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is a sign of liberation from material entanglement. Perfect statement. But our problem is devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Whether we do devotion service and whether we do it in the right consciousness or we are just doing some pious activities, that we have to see. So again, bhakti is easy, but to implement it and to adopt it practically, it's very difficult because we have to change our consciousness. It's a like full paradigm shift to change the consciousness from material or Maya consciousness or bodily consciousness to Krishna consciousness. Transcend the three modes. We are the whole body that we have been awarded, the consciousness that we have because of our previous so many lifetimes association and the activities. It's all bound, it's all covered over by the modes of material nature. All of a sudden, if we think that just because I'm chanting, I'm above these three modes, that's not possible. It's a process. It's a slow, gradual process. Even the chanting that we do, are we really chanting, as I said, or are we just finishing our rounds? If we are doing an inattentive chanting, then like Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained, then in Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Krishna and Radharani are not there. They are just some syllables we are pronouncing. That's all. It's not holy name. It's not the Harinam. Harinam is not different from Krishna, no doubt. But we don't chant properly. Of course, chanting is so powerful, and the mercy of Prabhupada is so powerful that even Nam Abhas stage chanting can get one on to the platform of liberation. It's why? Because the chanting is powerful. It's not the chanter is any powerful. It's the chanting. The whole Harinam is powerful. But our aim is not just liberation. Our aim is Krishna Prema. So for that, we have to come to the level of Shuddha Harinam, pure chanting. And we have to work on it. So this bhakti process will definitely take us beyond these three modes, but we have to perform the bhakti process properly. Text 21. Finally, Arjun is getting a chance to ask question. The whole um, 13th chapter. I'm forgetting, in 13th chapter, did he ask any question? Yeah, 13th chapter, in the beginning, he asked questions, and then Krishna started explaining. He asked who's Kshetra, Kshetragya, and this and that, different questions, 8 questions he had. And then Krishna answered, and then Krishna continued with the 14th chapter. And finally, Arjuna is asking, "Oh, my dear Lord, by which symptom is one known who is transcendental to these 3 modes? What's his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" Arjuna Vacha, Kairlinga Srin Gunanetan Atito Bhavati Prabhu Kimachara Katham Chaitans Trin Guna Trin Gunanati Vartate. So similar questions Arjuna had asked in the 2nd chapter when Krishna talked about Sthit Pragya Muni. So Arjuna asked 4 questions. What are his symptoms? How does he sit? How does he talk? How does he walk? Of course, he had a deeper meaning to how does he sit and how does he talk and how does he walk. And now Arjuna is asking similar question. By which symptom is one known who's transcendental to these 3 modes? The transcendental person is only one who could be Sthit Pragya. The similar question is there. In this verse, Arjuna's questions are very appropriate. He wants to know the symptoms of a person who has already transcended the material modes. He first inquires of the symptoms of such a transcendental person. How can one understand that he has already transcended the influence of the modes of material nature? The second question asks how he lives and what his activities are. Are they regulated or non-regulated? Then Arjuna inquires of the means by which he can attain the transcendental nature. This is very important. Unless one knows the direct means by which one can be situated always transcendently, there is no possibility of showing the symptoms. So all these questions put by Arjuna are very important and Lord answers them. First, the symptoms. Arjuna is asking, what are the symptoms of a transcendental person? See, today is also this appearance or disappearance day of Gadadhar Pandit. So there is a beautiful incident happened, appearance of Gadadhar Pandit. So beautiful incident happened that is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Why I'm saying because it's related to this purport. Gadadhar Pandit is actually came in Chaitanya Leela. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is who? He's Krishna, but with the mood of Srimati Radharani. So Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, he was telling Srimati Radharani that I've gone inside your heart and I've stolen the love for Krishna that you have in your heart. And now I'm going to taste that love. And I'm going to feel the pleasure that you feel when you taste that love and when you taste the beauty. In fact, these were the 3 internal reasons for Krishna to come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. External reasons were to propagate the whole congregational chanting of the holy names. So when Radharani heard these statements of Krishna, she first got upset because something that is very dear to you, very close to you, and you have kept hidden in your heart, and somebody comes and steals it, you don't like it. So the love for Krishna that Radharani has, it's very, very confidential and dear to her. But Krishna had stolen it. But Srimati Radharani then said, Krishna, I'm just going to compare it to like when Srila Prabhupada gave the instructions to his followers, to his disciples, to distribute these books on the street. Go distribute worldwide. I mean, just distribute. go everywhere and distribute. And if we had read it properly in ninth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, "This is the most confidential knowledge that I'm giving to you." And Prabhupada had given us this most confidential knowledge and asked us, ordered his followers to distribute them on the street. Most confidential knowledge. It was being given to everybody on the street. So what's the logic here? The logic is, even if somebody has Bhagavad Gita in his hands and he has the access to most confidential knowledge, he will not be able to unlock the mysteries of it without the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master. So even if we read Bhagavad Gita on our own, we won't be able to make anything out of it. Similarly, Srimati Radharani told Krishna that you have stolen the love, but you don't know anything about that love. You don't know ABC of that love. You know of every other kind of love, but not the love that I have for you. You don't know anything about it. So Srimati Radharani then told him that to teach you that love, because you are so eager to taste that love, taste that pleasure that I attain when I see you, when I'm in love with you, I have to teach you. I have to come and reveal, unlock the mysteries of it for you. Because there is no other guru who has that kind of love. Only Srimati Radharani has. So she's the only one who can unlock the mysteries. So that is the reason Srimati Radharani came as Gadadhar Pandit in Gaur Leela, Mahaprabhu's Leela. And Mahaprabhu would always associate with Gadadhar Pandit. When in Jagannath Puri, in Tota Gopinath temple, Mahaprabhu would always be there with Gadadhar Pandit and listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from him. When Mahaprabhu came back from Gaya after meeting Ishwar Puri, and he was exhibiting this transcendental emotions, transcendental symptoms in his body, and he would dance and he would fall on the ground, and sometimes he would run and scratch his heart, and he wanted to ensure that Krishna is in the heart, and he would hurt himself and he would fall down. And then Gadadhar Pandit would always be there to protect him, to take care of him. And Shachi Mata would be so pleased with Gadadhar Pandit, and because he was, first of all, he very devoted, very genuine, very humble, very simple brahmachari. He was a brahmachari and he was very simple brahmachari. So Shachi Mata would love him. And then she asked him to be with Nimai all the time, because we don't know when Nimai is going to start dancing and he would fall down. So Gadadhar Pandit was the one who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would ask questions and he would reveal devotion service, the symptoms, and symptoms of love of Radharani for Krishna. So same Gadadhar Pandit, today is his disappearance day. Again, I'm confusing. I think today's appearance day, disappearance is before Rath Yatra. Yeah, today's appearance day. So Gadadhar Pandit, when he was in Navadvip, Mukundat came to him, and Mukundat was a great singer. And he told Gadadhar that there is a very great personality has come. Pundarik Vidyanidhi is his name, and not has come, he lives here in Navadvip, and he's a great Vaishnava, very elevated Vaishnava. Why don't we go together and see him? Gadadhar Pandit, because he was very simple brahmachari, and he said, yes, I always want to meet great Vaishnavas and get their mercy, get the blessings. So they both went to see Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And Pundarik Vidyanidhi happened to be a very rich man, very, very wealthy person. And when they entered Pundarik Vidyanidhi's house, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was sitting on a swing, and he had many servants around him, and Pundarik was wearing luxurious silk clothes. His hair were combed very nicely with nicely oiled, scented oil hair, and it was combed very nicely. And uh, he was sitting on that, I think it was a swing or sofa, whatever it was, and he was eating pan, and he had a golden peak dan where you spit, throw your spit after eating pan, and he was spitting in that, and he had a mirror, and he was eating pan, and he was caressing his hair, and he was looking in the mirror again and again to see how he's looking, and he had the attendants around him taking care of him. And Gadadhar Pandit and Mukundatta went to see him, and they both sat down in front of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And they were talking to each other. Pundarik and Mukunda were talking to each other. And then Gadadhar Pandit, he had a doubt. The doubt was Mukunda, he was thinking, Mukunda brought me here to meet a great saintly Vaishnava, and he has brought me to meet this completely materialistic person. What has he done? And he was thinking, how do I get out of here? What do I do now? So Mukundat saw Gadadhar Pandit and he understood the mind of Gadadhar Pandit. That Gadadhar Pandit cannot recognize the glories of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And to tell you the fact that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was Vrishbhanu Maharaj in Krishna Lila, means father of Srimati Radharani. And he appeared as Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela. So Mukundatta understood the heart of Gadadhar Pandit that he's got some questions now, he's having some doubts. So Mukundatta was a great singer and he started singing glories of Krishna. Because this is one thing that you do when the Vaishnavas meet, they want to glorify Krishna, whether it is Katha or Kirtan or any other way. So he started singing particularly that verse from Shrimad Bhagavatam where Putana is glorified. Of course, Putana is not glorified, it's Krishna is glorified, but in connection with Putana. Aho Bakiyam Stankalakutam means Aho Baki. Baki means the younger sister of Bakasur. Bakasur was that big demon who came in the form of a baka or a crunch bird who tried to kill Krishna, but now Putana has come to kill Krishna, and Putana has smeared the most dangerous, most potent poison on her breast, and her whole aim is to make Krishna drink the milk of her breast, and instead of milk, he will be sucking the poison, and he will die. So this was Putana's thought, and but Bhagavatam says how glorious and how compassionate, how merciful Krishna is, that he gave the status of his own nurse to Putna in Golok Vrindavan, and this Putna had come to kill Krishna in a very nefarious way. And before Krishna, she had killed many little babies, and she had, after killing them, she had eaten their flesh and drank their blood. But it was Krishna who was so merciful. He gave liberation, not just liberation, he gave the position of nurse to Putna in his own Golok Dham. He made her an assistant of Yashoda Maya. So Mukunda was singing, Gadadhar Pandit was sitting there listening, and Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he was listening and listening to this shloka by the nectarian mouth of Mukundatta. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he lost all his composure. His whole body went into transcendental ecstasy. All the ecstatic symptoms, the transcendental spiritual symptoms, they just appeared on his own in his body, and he just fell down on the ground, and he was just yelling Ha Krishna, and he fell down, and all the attendants were trying to hold him, but they could not, and he just threw away all the pigdan and all the mirror, and he tore up all his clothes, and it was said it took about 10 attendants to contain him. And in that mood, in that ecstatic mood, he fell unconscious. This is one of the greatest symptoms of spiritual uh, love that one have for Krishna. And he remained unconscious like that for 9 straight hours. That can only happen if somebody is on that high state of love for Krishna. And now Mukundatta, Gadadhar Pandit, they were sitting there, and here Pundrik Vidyanidhi, he is lying unconscious, and his attendants are nearby. Now they were both Gadadhar and Mukunda were thinking now what to do, especially Gadadhar Pandit. And in his heart, he was thinking he had committed an offense by just having a doubt, even a doubt about the, the advancement of Pundrik Vidyanidhi, which was, from his perspective, the way Pundrik Vidyanidhi was living. It's to him, it looked like it was a materialistic person. So Gadadhar Pandit was sitting there, and after 9 hours, Pandit Vidyanidhi came back to his senses, to his consciousness. And then both Gadadhar Pandit and Mukundatta, they took permission and they left the house. So Gadadhar Pandit then asked Mukunda that I think I committed a big offense by doubting this person. So I'm thinking of taking shelter of him as my spiritual master and get initiated by him. So at that time, obviously, it wasn't like one particular institution or guru has to be validated by some authority and this and that. Anybody who was spiritually advanced could become a guru. Of course, to have an institution and to make sure everything runs according to the bylaws and this and that, some management is required, administration is required. But at that time, there was no such thing. So Gadadhar Pandit then went back to Pundrik Vidyanidhi and begged for forgiveness, and he asked for initiation, and Pundrik Vidyanidhi gave him initiation. So the point I'm trying to make is, of course, a person in transcendental consciousness, he has particular symptoms. But question is, do we have the eyes to see those symptoms? Do we have the eyes to see those qualities? If Gadadhar Pandit, if we could make a mistake, where do we stand? Symptoms are there because these are bona fide scriptures and everything has to be laid down in the scriptures to make sure there is a basis for everything. But these symptoms are important, and we have to understand that chances are I won't be able to see those symptoms or recognize a person who has those symptoms. Text 22 through 25. Shri Bhagwan Vacha Prakasham cha pravritim cha moham cha pandava na dveshti sampravritani na nivritani kankshati udasin vadasino guneryavna vichalyate guna vartante iti evam yo avtishtati nengate sam dukha sukha swastha sam lotstashma kanchana tulya priya tulya priya priyo dhiras tulya tulya nindatma sanstuti मान अपमानयोस्तुल्यः तुल्यो तुल्यो मित्रारि पक्षयोः सर्वारंभ परित्यागी गुणातीता स उच्यते. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present or long for them when they disappear, who's unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal towards the desirable and the undesirable, whose state is situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friends and enemy, who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is to have transcended the modes of nature. So, not easily qualities to attain if we think or if we want to transcend the modes of nature. Not at all easy. Arjuna submitted three different questions, and the Lord answers them one after another. In these verses, Krishna first indicates that a person transcendently situated has no envy and does not hanker for anything. When a living entity stays in this material world, embodied by the material body, it's to be understood that he is under the control of one of the three modes of material nature. When he is actually out of the body, then he is out of the clutches of material modes of nature. For as long as he is not out of the material body, he should be he should be neutral. He should engage himself in the devotional service of the Lord so that his identity with the material body will automatically be forgotten. When one is conscious of the material body, he acts only for sense gratification. When one transfers the consciousness to Krishna, sense gratification automatically stops. One does not need this material body and he does not need to accept the dictations of the material body. The qualities of the material modes in the body will act, but as spirit soul, the self is aloof from such activities. How does he become aloof? He does not desire to enjoy the body, nor does he desire to get out of it. Thus, transcendently situated, the devotee becomes automatically free. He need not try to become free from the influence of the modes of material nature. So, transcending the modes means not getting affected by the modes, whether it is passion, goodness, or ignorance. So, going above it. That's why it is said when we have material problems, we don't try to find the material solutions. Let's transcend those material problems because the problems will always remain, but we can transcend those situations. The next question concerns the dealings of a transcendently situated person. The materially situated person is affected by so called honor and dishonor offered to the body. But the transcendently situated person is not affected by such a false honor and dishonor. He performs his duty in Krishna consciousness and does not mind whether a man honors or dishonors him. He accepts things that are favorable for his duty in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, he has no necessity of anything material, either a stone or gold. He takes everyone as his dear friend who helps him in his execution of Krishna consciousness. And he does not hate his so called enemy. He is equally disposed in everyone He's equally disposed and sees everything on an equal level. Social and political issues do not affect him. Just see, social and political issues do not affect him. This is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told Prabhupada when he first met him on the roof of Ulta Danga Junction Road, house number 1. At that time, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj asked Prabhupada in the first meeting itself that you look like you're a very educated man. So why don't you go to the West to preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English language? And Prabhupada answered that we are still ruled over by British. So let's get the independence first, and because till then, who will listen to us? But Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj replied that this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this power or the act of preaching is so important, it cannot wait for any political change to happen in India. And he said that, also he said that uh, it doesn't matter who rules, who is in the power, this message has to go out. And then Prabhupada was convinced. So that's the level of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Social and political issues do not affect him because he knows the situation of temporary upheavals and disturbances. He does not attempt anything for his own sake. He can attempt anything for Krishna, but for his personal self, he does not attempt anything. By such behavior, one becomes actually transcendently situated. So we have to keep on developing these qualities. We have to work on these qualities. We have to develop before we can say, yes, I have made progress in bhakti. So anyway, I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandapna.
Prabhuji, this one, in fact, I'm asking from my perspective only, Prabhuji, because it affects me badly. And honor and dishonor. We are so much in this material conception of me, mine, and this physical body that, and you rightly said, the modes of nature are so powerful that they take over. But no matter how much I try to control myself, but either in fact I am provoked and I take out something from my mouth, I will speak, or at least I'm deeply, deeply disturbed internally. I mean, agitated. So, how could that be controlled, Prabhuji? One for sure is chanting, 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 and one stage will come when it will go away. Force myself to think that you are the soul, not the body, but it's actually not easy because that honor, dishonor, or no, lightly if you see, I mean, somebody tells you something negative, then it appears as if यार मुझे क्यों बोल दिया? Or sometimes insulting हो गया, या sometimes you feel like a loser कि यार, I mean, how can I lose this? So can you please guide me, Prabhuji? Humble
I
request.
know it's difficult. It's very difficult to get over it. But first of all, we have to see it is theoretically we understand from Prabhupada's books. Then we try to apply it as much and wherever we can, and then we'll get the realizations. So it takes time. I'm not saying it will not take time. It takes long time. But then it depends on how much we are really, serially, sincerely attempting to apply this teachings. So honor and dishonor is basically related to body, nothing to do with the soul. So we have to understand this. I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. So, and this is what we have to keep on reminding ourselves. Is that okay?
Very difficult to overcome, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, you also said material problems will be there, but we'll have to transcend it. Can you please elaborate for me, Prabhuji? Thank you so much.
Just like we said, no, honor and dishonor, these are material problems. So if we get bogged down, if we just end up doing unlimited, unending discussions on these, it will not help. Just transcend. Okay, I'm not this body. Let's go above it.
Very difficult, Prabhuji, but thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one same question. I think it was Pramod Mohanty Prabhuji who asked this question. This was really very nice question, and it is impacting everyone actually. And my question is, like we say that the more we advance in Krishna consciousness, and small mistake if we do, we can fall down. So how to manage it? Like we know that, and the more we advance, the test goes more tough. So how to balance it, Prabhuji?
See, advancement means more we are surrendered and more we have taken shelter of lotus feet of Krishna. So the test will be there. Definitely the test will be there. Like for Haridas Thakur, Maya Devi herself came in the form of a very beautiful woman to entice him. I mean, we only get a very insignificant spark of Maya Devi's enticement in the form of man or woman, and we get bewildered, we get attracted. So thing with Haridas Thakur, that test was also amazingly difficult, but he was fully surrendered, so it became easy for him. So the idea is to surrender. Idea is to follow the instructions more and more of Krishna, and then we can hope that I'm doing everything right, and hope when the test comes, um, I don't fail. But even if somebody fails or somebody gets bogged down by the test or by the situations, if one is still struggling, still chanting, still trying to make progress, he will be restored in his position very soon. He will be reinstated in his position very soon. But at the same time, what should be our thought process when we see somebody struggling? If we cannot help him, at least we should not talk bad about him. Because we all are fallen. And if somebody is having some difficulty with Maya, let's not talk bad about him. Like somebody asked Prabhupada, ah, we are, sometimes I feel I'm in Maya. And Prabhupada corrected, no, you're always in Maya. Sometimes you are in Krishna consciousness. So we are trying to go from Maya to Krishna. And we are completely under the control of Maya, clutches of Maya, completely. But at least by reading Prabhupada's books, we're trying to get some understanding of what is Maya, what is Krishna, what is living with Krishna, what is living in Maya. So we make the right choice. That's all. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mata. So I guess we can stop here. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Hare
much,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Jai Shri
Jai
Ram.
Shri Prabhuji.